Huge AMA done by Forex yesterday. Lots of stuff dropped. Super important. What am I paying attention to? What am I looking at? What do you need to know? Let's get into it. Okay guys, welcome back to the Crypto Wave. So I was trying to do some research on this AMA. It's about an hour and a half, the one that Forex did yesterday. Just try to extract, trying to extract some of the significant stuff that he talked about. And to be honest with you, there's a couple big things that occurred. One, and first and foremost, is they have officially, finally, for the love of all that's holy, announced the release of the new Drip UI, as well as Drip, Drop, Draw. So, if you guys haven't been paying attention, Drip, this has been going on for just over 2 years. It is an ROI project, meaning you could put in a value. That value, it's kind of like the longer you hold it, the better off you are. And what it does is it pays you back 1% a day for 365 days. So in essence, 365%. What you end up doing is you buy drip, or that is the local token, you deposit here into the faucet, and then it'll slowly drip out to you over time. Now, this could be beneficial because, as we know, there is delayed gratification. Because you can get 1% a day for 365 days, that means that you're getting a 365% return. However, that return is based on drip as well as the drip price. Now, the drip price has been all over the place, but as of late, people are getting pretty disappointed, because it's been hovering kind of in the high 20s, low 30s cents, 28, 30 cents. However, this was an all-time high of, I think, like $120 or something like that. I don't think we're ever going to get to that $120 mark again, but I do see massive upside potential. The reason we're having trouble is and especially in a down market like this, it's still outperforming a vast majority of tokens and a vast majority of platforms. But unfortunately, it is still a down market. And so people are selling their drip. They claim it, they sell it, it drives the price down. Plus, there's a large amount of circulating supply. You need to burn it or get rid of it somehow. Supply, demand. You need less supply, more demand. Drip, drop, draw is going to be one of those things that does that, as well as a new user interface. So there's a huge AMA. I'm going to make a note of this. 1 hour, 2 minutes. Huge AMA, and one of those is, let's go back in time here. Where is it? Here it is. So Drip, Drop, Draw is going to be launching at the same time. What does this do? So Drip, Drop, Draw is a way to get into the faucet. So that is getting into the faucet that provides that 1% per day. But it's doing so with a gamification, meaning there's raffles if you're the kind of the high, and I have a previous video on this, so I'm not going to go into the details, but bottom line is, what do you need to know about Drip, Drop, Draw? If you're going to enter into the faucet and you're going to enter into Drip with the new UI, you're probably going to want to do it through Drip, Drop, Draw, simply because it allows you to attempt to get more bang for your buck in regards to you getting put into raffles. There's chances of winning extra drip going into your faucet and various things of that nature. But it also supports the ecosystem as a whole. There are burning mechanisms and things built into this to start trying to reduce that supply that's circulating, hopefully causing positive price pressure. Gamification also brings people in. People love gamification. So hopefully it brings in not only the people who are already in it, but it's going to be bringing people that aren't in it. It's also hopefully going to bring in people like myself, perhaps users that follow my channel that haven't gotten into it yet, or friends and family that you don't think have gotten it. Hopefully it brings in new eyes is what I'm trying to say. Now, on top of that, they did release that the new user interface, which was over here. So there's going to be a whole new user interface. Oh, I'm getting an advertisement here. Give me just 1 second here. Get rid of that. The user interface is going to be miles ahead. If you guys are familiar with the drip, I mean, it's cute. but it did its job. This is just, honestly, this is just a facade overlaying a genius contract that Forex has done. However, with that said, it has room for improvement, and I think they did that based on, the screenshots they've been sharing. I think it's going to be amazing with just kind of the universal data information that's on here, so that you can gather everything you need in one spot. You know what I mean? That way you're not, and no offense to these, but you can come over here to drip.defi.app and all this kind of stuff. But it's just going to be way easier to keep the users. It's going to be way easier for the user experience. It's going to be a lot less clicks. Anytime I have less clicks, I'm happy. So this is going to be pretty dang huge. June 1st, drip, drop, draw, new UI. This is something that the drip community has been waiting for a long time. So what does that mean? Well, the price pumped up a little bit. It went up to that 30-cent mark. My faucet, I do claim sometimes, and you might as well just hydrate it right now. I do claim sometimes, but then I also hydrate the majority. It kind of depends on what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Sometimes what I end up doing is, if I forget to do this in a couple of days, I come in here and it's maybe $100. I do end up claiming it, and when I claim it, I'll end up pairing it up and try to compound my position over here in the animal farm farming. And the reason I'm doing that, which goes into the next thing he had talked about, which I am waiting on. So the first thing I was waiting on, which is huge, is this fiat on-ramp. Now, is it? I wish I could see some statistics as to how much people are using it and how much it's actually producing, but I don't think it's a whole lot. Only because I don't think there's a lot of eyes on it right now. The only eyes on this are the people who currently use it, people who are in the animal farm. However, as the ecosystem builds and grows, more and more people are going to utilize this. I think this is going to have kind of a network compounding effect over time. So it's working, it's up. I've been waiting for this. This is huge. Anybody who knows the fact that you can now get onto Animal Farm, although I heard there's some hiccups in the US, which is kind of a disappointment. Either way, though, the fact that you can onboard through your site getting into crypto without going through central bank, I think is huge. I think this, as I said on my previous videos, this fiat on-ramp is huge, and I think you're going to see the fruition of it coming down, but it was definitely needed as one of the first things. So the other thing he talked about, which is somewhere, where were we at? It was in this 50, where is it? Huge news. I want to have him say it. I think it was just about here.
And we still have the potential moving forward for these things, but we need to give the forethought to it beforehand. One thing that I kind of want to just leave this chat to being about drip, but I could not be more excited with our Pancake Swap B3 updates.
Okay, so this is the part that I wanted you to hear. I'm just going to let him speak so you can listen to it. Really, the big news, and I'll sum it up for you, is over here on the animal farm. In the farms, when they migrate to version 3, it changes the entire dynamic. And part of that dynamic is that this drip BUSD, it doesn't logically make sense to keep utilizing it the way they're utilizing it. I'll let him explain why that is. But then I'm going to go into why I think this is insanely important as soon as he's done here.
Right? It's like we're going to... But, and this is relevant to drip, right? Because we're going to be removing the single asset staking from Animal Farm. That in itself reduces the inflation.
So removing the single well, let's just continue.
Rate of our native tokens by 40%. We're also going to be removing drip BUSD from Animal Farm.
Okay. Sorry, I have my cat running around behind me. Sorry if you hear bells and such. So, we're removing the drip BUSD from the Animal Farm farming. And he talks about this, but why? Well, one is when the Pancake version 3 comes, they're going to be able to allow us to migrate here. So what there's going to be, just like last time, there's going to be a button that says migrate, and it's going to let you move your WBNB BUSD to the new version 3, because this is all version 2, to the new version 3. But if you think about it, all transactions on the drip BUSD have fees applied to it, 10% if I'm not mistaken. So in order to do that, you're basically going to be getting penalized for moving it to the version 3. On top of that, he says at the moment, Drip BUSD isn't even earning anything in regards to yield farming on Pancake specifically. Really, what you're staking here is earning you dogs, which is a localized token. It's not earning any cake on the back end. So the fees associated to the move, the fact that you can't get any cake or yield on it on Pancake, you would have to increase the payouts. Right now it's an 8x payout with an APY of 18%. You would actually have to increase that APY to produce more dogs in order to make it even feasible. But with that being said, when version 3 comes out and we start moving all these pairs, WBNB, BUSD, USD, BUSD, USDT, BUSD, all of these, when they get moved over, when these migrate, it allows a higher yield. I think he said upwards in the 40 percentile. So that actually means that they can decrease the emissions on dogs so that there's less circulating dogs, which will hopefully cause price appreciation. On top of that, and this is the part I'm excited about, and I thought he talked about it in this video. On top of that, the version 3 now allows you to trade within specific parameters. So basically what it does is you can actually create... Get out of here. What you can do is actually, when we move it over, you can say, hey, I only want the yield farming, or I only want the profits in the cake to be generated when my pair, we'll use this as an example, WBNB and BUSD, when it is within the range of 200 per BNB, and obviously BUSD is $1, but we'll say between 99 cents and $1.01, because there's always a little bit of fluctuation. Outside of that window, you do not get yield farm. In essence, it's kind of preventing you from impermanent loss. So with that, though, he's going to have a system in place that they've created that kind of auto compounds into your positions. And I can't wait to hear a little bit more about this, because I think that is where it's going to be significant. And I think that's going to put a ton of eyes on Animal Farm. There will be other farms coming out that talk about using version 3, but apparently he's got some sort of algorithm computer program in the back end that's going to optimize it. So if that optimization is as good as they say, and it compounds your own position, plus generates dogs for your position on Animal Farm, plus yield farming in the back end for cake to feed Pigpen, it's only a matter of time, guys. It's only a matter of time. I mean, it doesn't make sense to go anywhere else. And like, again, there may be other farms that utilize version 3, but none of them are going to have the ecosystem built here. I mean, you really got to think about it. And there's more to come. I can't even begin to say it should be a complete game changer. And if indeed it works the way they're saying, now granted, this is predicated on them working as it said, but for instance, my position here, this is my largest position on the Animal Farm specifically, UCS USDC BUSD. If this gets migrated over, and then his algorithm utilizes it to earn dogs as well as cake and yield for the pig pen over here, meaning it's generating pigs and increasing this BUSD vault, plus auto compounding my USDC BUSD with fees or whatever it is, game changer. So, but what is the important takeaway from this? Let me go ahead and finish this video because I want you to listen, because he talks about drip, and I'm trying to make this video more drip, but it is related to Animal Farm as well. But here, let's listen.
The reason why we're doing that is because in order to migrate drip BUSD to PancakeSwap v3, there's going to be a 30% round trip tax.
Exactly.
It does not make sense to force people to migrate over to V3 and have that tax applied to it, because drip BUSD is not a pair.
No, we just talked about that.
We would have to increase the emission rate of AFD,
right?
PancakeSwap V2, but still incentivizes the drip BUSD
So that's what. So I forgot to mention. So if you do have the Drip BUSD, if you do have the Drip BUSD pair, hold on to it, because in essence they're going to create its own use case, and I'm not sure what it's going to be. He says he's got an idea for it, but there is going to be a use case for this pair. Just because it's not getting migrated over into the farms, that's totally fine. Just know that it's not worthless or anything like that. You might as well hold on to it and utilize it with this new thing they're creating.
Liquidity adding. This way, it's the best of both worlds, because we're not forcing a 30% tax on Drip BUSD providers in order to stay on Animal Farm as we migrate to V3.
Moving on.
So it's, the inflation rate of our native assets on Animal Farm are about to reduce by more than 75%.
There you go.
When you combine that with the new utility and the greatly increased cash flows, which incentivize you to utilize it to increase your ownership of the platform, to collect those cash flows rather than sell them on the market, I see Animal Farm performing like crazy.
Right. So this is exactly what I'm saying. So in essence, he's found him and his team have found a way to decrease dogs' emissions, decrease pigs' emissions, increase yield, increase auto compounding, and increase the fees as well as the things collected, feeding into dog pound and feeding into pig pen. Juggernaut. That's all I'm gonna say. Juggernaut.
But it requires us to build a new product for Drip to incentivize liquidity.
Yep, sounds good.
Of Drip, while locking up Drip liquidity.
Yeah.
And a high cash flow, and have a strong utility. And it allows for full migration to V3. So that's what we're looking at, and what we're going to do is as soon as we get this launched next Thursday,
okay,
the team that built all of this, that's going to be their main focus. Is we're going to spend 1 week.
Version 3. Okay, so the other thing, and I know this video is running a little bit long, let me tell you the next big update. So over here in the dog pound, if you are mining with dogs, or I'm sorry, if you're farming with dogs, so your farm is generating dogs, you're bringing it over here, you're putting it into either the linear or the stake auto compounding. As it matures, you end up getting this 84% tax reduction. We end up with, this is what the system, as we were doing it at the moment, you withdraw this tax reduction here, and you have an 84% voucher. And then what people are doing, including myself, they're pulling this out and then just dumping it right back in again to start earning another tax credit. So you start getting all these tax credits over here so you can sell your dogs at a higher tax credit. As you can see, I've been doing it for a while. I've been doing it just like everybody else has. So they're changing it where these when you pull these out, it's going to be like an NFT instead. So they're updating the dog's contract. And I think the reason they're updating that is they don't want people double dipping like that. And it kind of stands to reason, because people are just going to keep milking the system. Yes, they're holding it till it's 84%, but then the moment this maximizes, you pull out your dogs, you put it right back in again. Well, you just got a free ticket for this many dogs to sell. So what does that do? Now that we're hitting, we're 90, 60, 90, 180 days in, all the dogs that I farm, I can just use my tax credits, sell them, while that same amount is still generating me tax reductions. So at the moment, look how many I have over here. I have, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I have 25 tax credits at the moment. Actually 26, because this one's mature. Soon to be 27. So I have 27 tax credits. Meanwhile, I've been slapping these back in here, actually increasing them, because what I do is I use my tax credit, I farm, I harvest my dogs, get a huge amount, take half of that, sell it with one of my tax credits. The other half, I combine it with what is matured. So for instance, I would pull out this 3, claim my dogs, sell half, put the other half back together, which increases this number for this particular one, and I stake it right back in there again. And so I start getting all these stake dogs. So that's going to be a huge one. A little bit more data will be coming out on that. We'll wait for a video, but that is going to change the dynamics of the dogs a little bit. This video is running a little bit long. I'm going to end it there simply because I don't want you guys to get bored. But in my opinion, that is kind of the biggest takeaways. Just to recap, huge drip, new drip coming in June 1st, new site, new game, drip, drop, draw. We've all been waiting for. I think if you are going to get into drip, go through drip, drop, draw. Not only does it benefit you, but it puts you into the raffles, and it helps burn to try to reduce supply. And anybody who's in drip knows that's a good idea because we want this to go up. Secondly, huge news coming from the animal farm side of things. Change up on the dog contract. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. Number 2, migration to version 3 coming up, and you should have automatic migration, auto compounding, better yield farming, as well as better cake on the back end. On top of that, we'll just go from there. Thank you guys for tuning in. I very much appreciate it, and have a great day.